Hello, and welcome to an update on my multi-item sorter. I've been using my previous design for quite a while now, but have noticed that sometimes on multiplayer servers it could be occasionally missort an item. And this came down to the clock being a little bit not quite the pulse lengths I'd hoped. Since then I've been able to find a way to measure the pulse lengths thanks to a video by Mayazuma Games called Simple Way to Detect and Identify Pulse Lengths, and this has allowed me to improve my design and make it a little bit more robust to possible lag on multiplayer servers. However, at the same time I've also revisited the design and made it a little bit smaller and cheaper to build. So let's have a look at what's involved in terms of resources. So the clock circuit itself that controls the clock only requires 7 comparators and 6 repeaters. And as you build up the towers, you're only going to really be using 7 hoppers, 6 target blocks, 9 droppers and 11 torches, plus a varying amount of repeaters per tower, but only 1 comparator per tower. There's also a number of slabs, blocks and other redstone. If we look at the design itself, we can see that there's only 6 blocks back above ground. So if we look at the surface here, we can see that it only comes 6 blocks below the ground back. We can also see that we have a fairly reasonable width going this way. It's really just about the same width as the input chest and the chest you're going, and it only comes 3 blocks below the surface. So when you're excavating, start between your input chest and your output chest, come down 3 blocks. From the back of your chest, go 3 blocks this way and then another 3 blocks, leaving 2 blocks further up for your dropper tower circuits, and come forward 3 blocks to allow space for the clock circuits and the feed into the hopper tower circuit. When we come over to the circuit design itself on the bottom layer, our dropper towers require a comparator in subtract mode with redstone dust coming in between it. Now the reason for this is the clock is going to help control the dropper towers. From the comparator we go into a repeater so that we can bring the signal strength up even if there's only a minimal number of items, and then feed into a signal line that goes into a fader pulse extender, brings the signal back up to full strength and comes into our clock. Our clock is very simple. This is 1 tick for the comparator, 4 ticks plus 2, so another 6, bringing it to a 7 tick clock. And then this 7 tick clock is just fed into a 1 tick pulse extender. So what this means is instead of 7 ticks on and 7 ticks off, it's 8 ticks on and 6 ticks off. Given that hoppers take 5 ticks in order to push an item forward, this allows more than enough time for the hoppers to attempt to put an item in a chest, while still making sure that there is no overlap between the different on signals. Over here, feeding into the different towers, we have 1 tick and 8 ticks, meaning the difference between these two repeater combinations is 7 ticks, which is the same as our clock. We can demonstrate what we're looking for by putting some torches over here. So as we can see, there is never a moment when both lamps are unlit. So if these represent our hoppers, either both hoppers are locked or only one hopper is unlocked. And what this allows is hoppers to take turns pushing items down, which I'll explain further on. The rest of our circuit design obviously is pulse fader and clock. The last bit is the bit that feeds into the dropper towers. So we feed a repeater directly into here to have a 15 signal here, but the pink blocks represent the fact that we don't know where the circuit is going to pull power from until we know our tower height. So this design is 5 blocks high for chests. However, you could go higher. You could go up to say 14 blocks of chests, and that would change which way you run this signal. And we'll see how you check which way you go a little bit further on. So if we come over here, we can see that once we have our clock circuit design in, we just need to take the pulses we have here and feed it up into redstone towers. So if it's back, it goes forward 1 and then up. If it's forward, it goes forward 1 and then back. So these are simple redstone towers feeding into target blocks. Each target block sits in front of a hopper. So you'd start by putting a dropper here, doesn't really matter which way it faces, and then a hopper into each of your chests, then one more hopper at the bottom feeding into a block which it can't feed into, and then behind each of the hoppers we put a target block. Now these target blocks allow us to lock these hoppers. Finally, we feed a hopper into the top dropper. And if we put some lamps here and restart our system, you can sort of see what's going on. So as you can see, either all the lamps are lit or only the alternating lamps are unlit. So when a lamp is unlit, that means this hopper can both take an item and attempt to put it into a chest in front of it. The off length is long enough for it to do both things. However, while it's attempting to do this, the hopper below it is locked, which means each hopper in turn has sufficient time to try and push the item it's got into the chest in front of it, and if it cannot do so, allows it to fall in the hopper below for it to attempt again. And that is our target towers. Now we can do our droppers. Now all we're doing for our droppers is starting at our comparators, coming up and feeding over towards the remaining hopper towers and then feeding into our system. So this means when these dropper towers activate, the item will come from the chest into the droppers, up, forward, and then down again. Now at this point we can actually work out where we connect our clocks to our dropper towers. What we're looking for is we want to find the top target block and which of these towers feeds into it. So the goal is the dropper should send the item up and then immediately have it wait here locked until the system releases and then comes in, so that each item starts in a locked state, then feeds into this dropper, immediately sucked in, giving this hopper as much time as possible to then feed it into a chest. So given that we know that this is the tower that reaches our top target block, we can now feed that into our release. And that's basically it. Run the hoppers into your droppers, up, over, into your hopper tower, then back and into the next dropper tower. Finally, once you've got your dropper towers and all your hoppers connected, we just need to power our dropper towers. Now for this, I'm just going to temporarily delete this block to demonstrate how it works. So at the moment there are no items in this, and all the lamp torches are lit, which means all these are triggered, but they can't fire because they're already triggered. So if I put some items in here, say 1 stone, it's not going to go anywhere because now these are unlit. But what it does do is it primes the system. So because these are now off, the next time they turn on, it's going to send the item up. And that's going to happen when the clock activates. So we can see that when that redstone fires on, it allows this comparator to then be released, which turns the torches on, which sends the item up and over, bringing it into our chest over here. I can't remember which one I had stone in, but it really doesn't matter. And that's basically it. So our comparators feed into this block, which allows it to power the signal line. On top of this block we put a piece of redstone dust, make sure it's in the cross mode, so it feeds into this block. This then goes up a redstone alternating torch tower, so that each of these blocks are powered, each of the second blocks are powered. And then we have redstone torches such that when these are powered, it powers both that dropper and that dropper, bringing it from here to here, and then that torch will bring it from here to here and so on, giving us a silent dropper tower. And that's basically it. That's the entire system. That's everything you need to do to make a multi-item sorter. We can demonstrate it working here. So we have some grass blocks, and we have some granite, and we have some of these blocks, and I've just chucked them all in here. We can see that our dropper tower has now been activated, slowly sending our items further up into our hopper towers and silently sorting back into our chest. So we can see some of our grass blocks are turning up here, and we've just got some more now. Some of our granite's coming back, smooth, polished granite, and so on. Now, one of the things we can do if we want to make sure that we know when the system is active, we can just replace this block here with the lantern, and as long as it's flashing, the system is active. And that's about it. That's basically the entire system for a silent multi-item sorter. There's one variation that I'd like to go through once this system is finished going through, which it appears to have done. And that is how we can make it a little bit more resource efficient. So if you don't mind your system being a little bit noisy, one of the things we can do is add another row of chests and swap in up here for more hoppers, and then change these over for droppers. Now this will make our system noisy because while this tower is not sorting any items, this dropper is going to be clicking. But it also allows us to feed into these chests. So we'll just get some items to fill them up with. Now of course you don't have to just do one item per chest, you can do any number of items you want. You just need to not leave any gaps, because the way multi-item sorter works is it attempts to put items into the chest, and if it can't, it just tries the next chest. So we now have some more items in here, and we're just going to chuck these in now. We can hear some clicking, and this is from the top droppers. So what's happening is an item comes in here, or should be coming in here. Well, we're sorting anyway. They might be coming through too quick to be able to see. But basically the item comes in here, and then the dropper pushes it onwards, and allows the hopper to work. And because the dropper should only power the item forward, when that is powered, it means that when the dropper pushes it forward, that is locked, giving this item enough room, enough time to push the item forward. We can see that we now have 11 of those, and 11 of those, and the system is finished sorting. So if you want 6 block towers for the same price as the 5, just give up being silent. Thank you for watching, and I hope this helps you see how you can build a multi-item sorter using not too many resources in survival mode, and this system should be pretty reliable on most servers because it allows an extra tick than required for hoppers to put an item forward, and has a 2-tick overlap between hoppers.